Hello and welcome. Good morning, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar. We're very excited to talk today about the new feature that we just released recently, the dictionary. Why that's important is simply because you will be able to change any message inside your dashboards and the portal. Also, you can use the dictionary to translate to any language. So you can really deploy applications multi-language for your end users. This webinar will take about 30 minutes. We are going to be present for 20 minutes, and then we're going to have a section for Q&A at the end. So feel free to make questions at any time using the button on the left, I believe, the Q&A. Make a question there, comments, and you'll be glad to answer them at the end. Also, we're going to be recording this webinar so that it will be made available in our website at the end of the day. So again, thank you very much. And now let's start with Henry, our developer that's going to make the presentation. So Henry, you can take it from here.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everybody. So as Fabio was saying, to summarize dictionaries, they're essentially a database of key value pairs. And if you want to go and create a new one, you can go to Dictionaries and Multilanguage, and you can create a dictionary. It will allow you to reference these key value pairs within your dashboards and then within your run applications. And I'm going to show you all the different ways that you can apply that. So if you have any questions, as Fabio mentioned, make sure to put them in the chat. And afterwards, if you are working with dictionaries and you have more questions, you can always visit our documentation for dictionaries. You can get an overview of our documentation, or specific to multi-language, or specific things like import and export for dictionaries. I'm going to cover all those today as well. You can also use community.tago.io to post questions or to see how different features are being used. So make sure to take good advantage of that as well. Okay, to start, I have a dashboard that I have configured. It has a few widgets in it. I've also made a run application for this dashboard. I've given access to a particular user. He has access to the devices and the dashboard itself. If I go to the application, everything is displaying correctly so far. And now I'm going to get into the first way that you can use dictionaries to customize your run applications. So you'll notice in run, you have a bunch of built-in fields like enter full screen, edit mode, these text fields that are just already built for you in the website. And then if you go to your account, you have fields like my account, sign out, you have visualization preferences, general information. All of these fields you can customize and write whatever you would like using dictionaries. So to do that, you go to Run, you click on the Multi-Language tab, and by default, you'll have your 4 languages: English, Spanish, Portuguese, and French. What you're going to want to do is click Generate New Dictionary, and you can create a new custom dictionary. So I'll name it Custom, and notice that a slug key is generated from this, and this is going to be used later to reference the dictionary. Okay, so once you do that, if you create a dictionary in Run, it'll automatically populate all of the fields for a Run application. So you have about, let's see, 133 words. All of these correspond to the words, the built-in fields in the actual application. So I'll start by changing enter full screen mode. So let's try to find that. Okay, I'll just change this to, let's expand. And let's see what else we have. Edit mode, my account, sign out. that to information, and then let's check sign out. Okay, so this is just giving you an idea of some of the edits you can make. Also notice that this won't affect any of the fields of the other languages that are here by default. So if you wanted to change these to different things, you'd have to go into each individual language and change them. And also the fallback language right now for this dictionary is English. So if at any time language that is not supported is selected or used, the fallback language will be English. So now I need to, after saving the dictionary, I can go back to run, back to multi-language, and then select this new dictionary that I've called custom. And then if I save, it'll remake the run application. And once it's rebuilt, I can go back here, refresh, and my fields should be updated. Okay, there we go. So expand, and then my account information about me. So you can see how all of the fields, really anyone who has a run application could probably use this, because I'm sure there are different things you could imagine that you would like to change the fields to. It allows a lot of customization, really, which is certainly useful. So now I'm going to get into the multi-language aspect and writing multilingual applications. So in a scenario where you've deployed this to your end users, the end user decides, okay, let's change the language to Spanish. So the end user wants to read the application in Spanish. So the user selects Spanish, and now all of the built-in fields are automatically translated. That's good. But the problem is the application that you wrote it in English. So it's not going to translate automatically. All we can do to fix this is we can again use dictionaries. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create keys for each of the fields, and then I'm going to add the translation for them. So back in my dictionary, remember you can access your dictionaries by going to your profile. Here I'm going to add fields for each of the things that I want covered. So I'll start by adding a field for temperature. I'll call it temp. And humidity. And then also date will reference date and time. Let's see what other fields we have. Temperature data. I'll create a field called data. And each time I create a field, I'm going to need to fill in that field for all of the other languages as well. So I can try to save this, but I'm going to get an error because I have not finished filling that out for all the other languages. One thing I can do if I don't intend to finish filling these out, this isn't going to save if I just try to leave now and go do something else. So what I can do is just set these to inactive before I'm ready to actually translate. But I'm going to go ahead and translate for Spanish without the accents. I believe that's datos. And this should be data and time. And I think that's probably a rough translation, so I can go ahead and save that. Okay, now I need to actually reference this within the application. So I can go back to the station monitor, and I can go into edit mode and start editing the widgets. So To reference a dictionary key and value, you do that by typing the pound symbol, and then within that you type the slug key, which in this case is custom. And you don't actually have to really remember this, you just have to remember to type the pound key because there's this feature here that's going to automatically take you to the dictionary. And in this case, I want temp. So there we go. And to see if this is referenced correctly, I'm going to go into preview mode. And there we go. So that will show you that it's working. And then I can see if I've defined it for other languages. So I have Greek. Let's see. So yeah, Greek isn't defined. So it's just going to use the fallback language, which is English. But I have defined Spanish. So let's double check that that's working. Should work for, okay. And probably not super noticeable, but that did translate to Spanish. And so that's just a test. It's just preview mode, just showing you if you're referencing it correctly and if that's working. So I'll go ahead and save that. And now I'm going to do the same for humidity. And actually within this, I can go ahead and edit the fields here as well. Okay, so I think you'll probably have a good idea of how this is working now. And you can also reference two at a time if it made sense to. If you wanted to just define one word like date and then time and then you could reference them individually and this would still work. You just have to write them out separately. Okay, so these are all still working. Now what I want to do is make sure that this is translating over to the actual run application. So I don't even have to reload it. This is already being converted. So now the field temperature is now temperatura, and then humidity and date and time is all translating automatically now. So now I want to talk about the scenario where instead of going in and manually, because I mean, imagine that you have, say, 5 different languages you want this to work for. Instead of having to do that for each of them, what you can do is use the import and export feature. So let's say that instead of just right now, I only have actually access to these really 2 languages with all the fields saved. So what I want to do is add a new language. Let's say I want to add support for Czech in my application. What I can do is go to my dictionary. And I can export this entire dictionary that's in English. And I'll export it as a CSV file. And I can open this in Excel. And I now have all of the fields for my application in an Excel file. So there's a lot that you could probably do with this. Right now, what I'm going to show is how you can easily translate this using Excel. So if you go to review, you can also right-click. So you can go to translate. And I want to translate from English to Czech. And so once you do that, you can select all of the words and then right-click. You're going to have to select a special paste option and then select Unitext code. And now it just pasted the entire block of words. So, and also notice it even did that for the new words I added, the keys temp, humidity, and then date and data. So also, I'll point out that you never really want to edit the keys because the keys are really built in. So you only ever want to be translating values. Okay, so now that I have this, I need to export it as a CSV file, but these, if you'll notice the characters, these aren't going to be valid for a regular CSV file. So that's not too difficult to overcome, though. You just have to pay attention and then convert that. So I'll name this custom. And then here, I already have the option. I just have to select CSV UTF-8, and that's really important so that all those special characters will be read in and will be valid. So now that that's saved, I can go back to my dictionary, and let's go ahead and add the new language. Okay, so everything is blank. So imagine if you actually, even if you were fully proficient in this language, it wouldn't really make sense to go through and translate everything unless it was just very specific to what you were doing. That would almost never make sense to go through and take the time to do. So really, this is going to be the default for how you're going to want to translate in bulk. So let's try to import. So I'll be importing the same CSV file I just exported. I named it custom. And there we go. It has successfully imported the entire file. So now I can just save that. And let's go back to the application. And now in the application, let's see if we can select the new language. Make sure that's reloaded. And there we go. Okay, so all of the fields you can see immediately are updated. And now because we built this in, the fields of the actual application are updating as well. So if you went ahead and did this for all of the fields, you could get every last field, date and time, humidity flux. And in fact, I'll go ahead and do that for some of the other fields just to remind people where these are. So in Run, you can go, let's go to the sidebar and update these fields. And I think I need to add a variable for this. So let me duplicate this. Usually when you're working with dictionaries and you want to be able to add quickly, you're going to have to just have one page open just for the dictionary so you don't have to keep going back and forth. Okay, so this really is a good spot to point out that you really want to have your application done before you've done all the translating. Because now, if I want to add a field for, say, station monitor, I'm going to have to translate that to all of my active languages, and that's really not ideal. So my recommendation would be to go ahead and translate everything, set up your language in whatever your native language is first, get all of the fields referencing correctly, and then go ahead and translate. But I can still just change this to something arbitrary just to show that that it can be done for these fields as well. And so that should update the news field. Actually, I'm probably gonna have to rebuild. Actually, I don't even have to rebuild. Okay, so yeah, so now that's referencing a key, a value within the dictionary. So that pretty much covers using dictionaries for multi-language. And now I think we can open up for questions.
All right. So thank you, Henry. Yes, I hope that's clear how to use it. Dictionary, of course, there are a lot of features to digest in 20 minutes. We have the documentation. So, Henry, if we can show again the documentation, I think it'd be good while I put some notes here. So, just as a summarize, so you can have an apply dictionary to change basically any message in the login page, and a button, or even the variable that comes from your sensors. Let's say that your sensor sends a temperature, and that value is something that you want to change, translate. You can do that. Also, you can do an apply dictionary um, for different applications inside of your own account. For example, it's not only about translations. You may have, for example, one application for construction, another one for medical, and another one, let's say, for services. And maybe you want to differentiate a little bit how you communicate with your customer, even the official language, even, I mean, not official, but only through one language. You can do that. Okay, so a lot of features. So yeah, one question here is, does it apply as well for mobile app?
Yes, so Dictionaries is compatible with the mobile app, and it should really appear just like it's appearing here as far as translating over.
Okay. All right. So yeah, by the way, meanwhile, if you have any question, we have a couple of minutes. Feel free to add here more questions. Okay. Do I need to import a file for each language?
So no, you're not going to have to import or export. It's really just a way to make it to simplify it. So let's say you want to create a new language. You can go and let's see. Let's select a new language. See if some version of Chinese you're trying to add. You click to add the new language, and you can go in here and manually fill everything out if that suits your application, or if you're trying to do something specific, that's good. If you're just trying to translate in an entire language, though, it's usually more efficient to just export the file in English and then do a translation on Excel and then import that back, depending on whichever language you chose. So import and export is just a way to make it a lot easier to do the translation, but you certainly don't have to use that feature. And if you need more information, I think there is a specific import and export for dictionary. And that should cover everything you need to know to be able to work with it.
Okay, thank you. Another one is, if I don't have a scale plan, can I still create dictionaries for several languages or just for one?
I believe so. I haven't. I'm not aware of any restrictions currently based on that account type. So you should be good to go.
Yeah, that is one. The scale is needed when you want to have multiple language for your end user. Can you show the run settings of a user, Henry, so I can
Yes.
show? So if you don't have, even with the starter or free account, you can create a lot of dictionaries. There is no limitation, but you can select just one language to be official. Okay, so for example, if you are here in the US or any country, you can use the dictionary to change the message, to expand the message, how you're gonna communicate with your customer. But your customer, that we call end users, that you're gonna apply and sign up in your application, will have access just for one language. So if you want to have a multiple language, you need to have the scale version. Okay, let's see if there is another question. Any comment? Okay.
So really, if you don't have the scale option, if you don't have that plan, then you are probably going to mostly be using this to edit fields and just add that extra amount of customizability to your application. And you can just use dictionaries just for there are a lot of technical aspects to dictionaries, just having a database of key value pairs that really even we haven't fully explored yet. I'm sure once we, I think this one post I made shows how to use dictionaries and formulas, but there are a lot of other applications that will probably come to light as more people start to use them. So definitely keep an eye out on latest topics for community, and it's often useful to see what other people are asking and to see how our developers are solving their issues.
Perfect. Okay. Looks like we don't have any other question or comment right now. So Henry, thank you. Thank you for your time. Again, this video will be available in our website, tago.io/videos, and also tago.io/events, where we're gonna add this recording soon, so you can share, rewatch, and I really hope that to be very helpful for your application. So thank you very much, and have a great day.
Great, thank you. Thank you, everybody.